call them back when we're finished.
Okay, so I'm here with Mike Dobson, and he has been a member of the church since the early 70s.
Right.
And
right.
basically was a young man at that time and grew up here. So he has some thoughts and insights that we think are going to be important to our discussion today. And the way I'm going to start it is by asking you, what is the first memory of being at Abingdon, and how often did you attend church?
Okay, my first memory of Abingdon was in the early to mid 70s. I would attend with my parents because they had a summer place down here on the river. My father transferred his membership to Abingdon, and Reverend Mueller was the priest here at that time. So as I think back to that time period, I think of Reverend Mueller, and he was the minister.
And you had experiences in other Episcopalian churches in other areas. So
Right.
when you came to Abingdon, in what way was it different than what you were used to, or was it basically the same?
From the the liturgy, I would say it was about the same.
So, but specifically, I have people that talk a lot about Mueller and his impact on their lives. And if you came a little later, maybe he didn't have as much of an impact on you, but since he was so different from what you were used to. So what happened later on that caused things to begin? And what was it that made you feel closer to being a member?
Later on, Reverend Mueller had retired, and Reverend Frank Rose, who'd been the minister priest over, I think, St. Luke's in Norfolk, and he was the interim and the minister. And then he was very inspirational, and I don't know, he had a lot to do with getting Dennis Schmidt. And when Dennis Schmidt arrived, it's just something about, and to me, he seemed very Christ-like in his delivery and the way he would, I don't know, just his being a minister. Right. And I mean, I was inspired by him. So from that time on, I had more of a spiritual interest in wanting to get involved in the church.
Did Abingdon Church appropriately change with the societal pressures?
I would say with the onset of Dennis Schmidt coming to Abingdon, that's when Abingdon had turned the corner from the Reverend Mueller years. I have to say Abingdon, it was sort of like a country club kind of thing. If you're in the group, you're in the group. That was my perception. I could be right or wrong. But when Dennis Schmidt came, to me, that's when Abingdon began to open up, began to more inclusive, offer more programs, turn the corner. And that's when I became very interested in the youth. I was active in the youth group. Joe Davidson, who was what they call a Christian formation director now, and she was the Sunday school superintendent then. I would assist her, because at that time I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and I could read
the church. Like, how did your impression of church change when you realized that now you had a child to invite into this world?
Then I had to start thinking more outside the box of me. I had to start thinking of Judy, and I had to start thinking of Lauren. And one of the things that attracted us, I had just felt a calling back to Abingdon in general, for some reason. And when my mother passed away, Judy thought that the cemetery was such a pretty place, a beautiful place. And then Judy had heard so much about the Sunday school program at Abingdon, and we had a child, and Lauren was getting into those years where she should attend Sunday. So I began thinking more of their needs versus my own personal interest in my needs. If that answers the way.
Do you think Abingdon is where it should be right now? Are you happy with the way it is now? And what would you like to see, if anything, change towards the future for Abingdon?
I think Abingdon is on course. I think they're heading in the right direction. I think since Sven has been here, it seems much more inclusive as far as just everything. I mean, like, it's just like his whole approach, like everybody is welcome here. Whether you live down in Guinea on Horse Point Road or whether, wherever, all peoples are invited here. And especially with the women. I mean, women have taken, I say, since Sven, and I began to see it with Dennis Schmidt too, and some there, but the ladies in the church or the women seem to take on more leadership roles and more like yourself. You're the senior warden now, and so I think Abington is on course, and they're where they should be from a progressives moving forward.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. It was interesting to talk to you.
And I was glad to do it.
All right.
Thank you.